I tested almost every single weapon and ability in Destiny to find out what exactly I can survive using the new Hunter Exotic Gauntlets Renewal Grasps. Spoiler alert, it's quite a bit. Like a lot of people, I decided to put this build through the initial test of using it during a weekend of Trials of Osiris. I wanted to see for myself if the murmurs from within the community were valid or if there was just some kind of catch or gimmick to this build. After having my most successful Trials weekend probably ever, I can 100% say this is the best hunter build in the game right now. The damage reduction you get when standing in the dusk field, stacked with the damage reduction you get when standing next to a crystal from Whisper of Chains, is a total of 36%. When your opponent is standing in the dusk field, they will end up dealing 50% less damage. So to further understand the limitations of this build, we went through almost every viable PvP weapon and ability to figure out what exactly you can survive while using the grasps. At the end, I'll have some additional fun facts about weapons that could still kill but had a drastic change to their time to kill, as well as some effective counters for this build. So make sure to stay till the end for those. All of these tests were done with me being at tier 4 resilience unless noted otherwise. Starting out, our first victim is 140 RPM snipers. This includes the likes of Twilight Oath, Praedyth's Revenge, and Cloud Strike without the exotic perk activated. In no circumstance were these snipers ever able to kill me while I was standing in the dusk field. Yet another reason to never use rapid frame snipers in PvP. Next, we've got aggressive frame snipers, which are the likes of Frozen Orbit and Occluded Finality. While aggressive frames can kill when the shooter is standing outside the dusk field, it would not kill me when they stood inside of the dusk field with me. So no matter what, you can tank any sniper headshot from any sniper archetype if both people are standing in the dusk field. Next is slug shotguns, which only dealt 168 to the head when standing outside of the dusk field. We even went ahead and tested a slug shotgun with ×1 rampage active, which dealt 185 to the head, so even that would not kill me from outside of the dusk field. Staying on the shotgun train, we tested aggressive frame shotguns, which also wouldn't kill from outside of the dusk field. This is your Found Verdicts, Fellwinters, and Ragnall D's. We also tested a shotgun melee combination where my opponent shot from outside the dusk field, but obviously had to melee me inside the dusk field with an uncharged melee, and that also would not kill me. Another weapon type that fell short here were fusions, as both rapid frame and precision frame fusions were unable to kill from outside of the dusk field. So that's your likely suspects, Cartesian coordinate, main ingredient, and Snorries. We tested all of these with a normal battery, liquid coils, and accelerated coils. High impact fusions were able to kill from outside of the dusk field and would hit for about 41 to 42 per bolt. So that equals out to about the same damage output as precision frames would normally do. Rapid frames would do about 20 per bolt, so even if you hit every single bolt, it wouldn't equate to enough damage to kill me in the dusk field. HAWKMOON with a ×6 stack of paracausal shots would not kill me inside or outside of the dusk field. However, a ×7 stack would kill me from outside, but would not kill me from inside the dusk field. So the only way to kill someone standing in a dusk field with HAWKMOON is to get a maximum ×7 stack and not be standing in a dusk field. Another weapon I was very curious about was the infamous JOTUNN, and I'm actually quite pleased to say that no, JOTUNN could not kill me when my opponent was standing outside the dusk field. It would, however, leave me basically one shot every single time, so if I wasn't at 100% health, it would most certainly do the job and eliminate me. Now, there are actually some abilities that can normally one-shot people that could no longer one-shot while I was standing in the dusk field. Starting with Top Tree Golden Gun. Any combination of the explosive knife and trip mine wombo combo would not kill me. This includes sticking me with both the knife and the trip mine, and throwing both of them in close proximity to me. This also includes wearing Young Ahamkar's Spine, which boosts the trip mine's damage. The other shocking revelation was that if I was at tier 6, I could survive a Top Tree golden gun shot to the head. Yep, at tier 6, I could survive a golden gun shot as it would only do 192 to the head. However, any tier lower than tier 6 would eliminate me. This is just something to keep in mind if you're making a build for this in Trials. If you notice someone on the other team is running a Top Tree golden gun, maybe consider having an option to get your resilience up to tier 6. Moving to Bottom Tree Gunslinger, we tested the weighted throwing knife. We found out that the regular weighted throwing knife would not kill me from outside of the dusk field. However, a fully charged ATHRYS' Embrace could kill me, but only from a headshot. A body shot would not. Shout out to one of my friends, Regalia. He was showing me how effective an ATHRYS build can be inside a mode like Trials, especially against any Renewal Grasp users. It's likely going to be an unexpected outcome for the person using the Renewal kills, as they know they're probably going to be able to survive quite a lot, therefore their positioning might not be the best. Just pump a few headshots down range until you can get a max stack for your knife and then let her rip. Another surprising ability that made the does not kill list is the FLUX grenade. Normally capable of one-shotting, the FLUX was only doing 160 damage when thrown from outside of the dusk field. So unfortunately, this is not a viable counter for grasp users. As I mentioned earlier, there were a few things worth noting that while they weren't in the one-shot kill category, they were still either used pretty regularly or their time to kill was drastically changed because of those dusk fields. First and foremost, 140 hand cannons. Instead of being able to 3-tap, they now require you to hit 5 crits in order to kill, which significantly reduces their time to kill and their kill efficiency. Ace of Spades with Memento Mori active would normally only need to hit 1 crit and 2 body shots to kill someone in PvP. With me standing in the dusk field, it took 4 headshots to put me down, which is just absurd to think about. While it is still less than a regular 140 hand cannon's 5 shots required, it's not a great look when it takes over half of the Memento Mori extra damage bullets to secure a kill. I wouldn't suggest using Ace in these situations. Sticking with more hand cannon tests, the Sturm overcharge shot required a 3-tap instead of the 2-shot kill it normally is. Any shot combination with at least 1 crit shot would kill me. However, after doing some math during the editing of this video, I realized that crits were doing 92 and body shots were doing 51, which means if you only hit 1 head and 2 bodies, that would equate to 194 total damage. If I'm remembering correctly, that's about the equivalent of having your resilience tier at 7. So in theory, if you ran tier 7 resilience, you could survive a 1 crit 2 body shot from an overcharged Sturm, forcing them to shoot a 4th time. Further testing would need to be done on this to confirm, but if my numbers match up, that appears to be the case. The last hand cannon test we performed was with ERIANA'S vow. Normally, as long as you hit 1 crit shot, you could kill someone in 2 shots no matter what the second shot was. While standing in a dusk field, it took 2 crits to kill me, as each shot was only doing 104 to the head, which was just barely enough to kill any resilience tier. Another weapon we found that had a particularly drastic time to kill change was DMT. Normally, with Cranial Spike active, you could get to a point where you could 2-tap someone in the head. When standing in the dusk field, it became a 4-shot kill, only dealing 62 to the head. The last thing we tested before we get into counters for this build was the Peregrine Greaves. At first, we were getting some mixed results. At times I was getting killed and other times I was staying alive. We tested different resilience levels and everything you could think of. But the thing we discovered was that if the shoulder charge was activated outside of the dusk field, it would kill me. But if the shoulder charge was activated inside the bubble, I would stay alive. The complicated part about this is that the dusk field user can manipulate this by positioning themselves in a way so that they are farther back in the dusk field. Now I know it's a sphere, so there really is no back to it, but using the geometry of the map, there are certainly ways that you can place yourself in optimal situations where a peregrine shoulder charge would only be able to reach you if it was activated from within the dusk field instead of outside. As far as counters go, I briefly talked about ATHRYS' Embrace being a viable option earlier. To reiterate, as long as you can get a max stack from getting precision hits from a weapon, you can kill someone in a dusk field with your weighted throwing knife. The nice thing about this is that even after bouncing the knife, the aim assistance alone is something that is really useful to use against someone who's just standing in a specified area. And more than likely, people using the dusk fields are going to use them in spots where they might be a little more exposed because they know they can tank quite a bit more damage. This is a really effective way to catch them off guard and get them thinking twice about where they can place their dusk fields. Another extremely viable option that I absolutely despise when I use this build is when people use Witherhoard against me. Witherhoard still does an insane amount of damage to you when you're standing in the dusk field. It also does a great job of displacing people from the dusk field itself. This is a very simple loadout change you can make, especially in trials. If you notice you're running against a team of Duskfield users, whip out your Witherhoard and use it as a way to push them out of their positioning. Trust me, they are going to start thinking twice about where they're going to throw their Duskfield down if you are continually making them move out of them. If you're looking for some other potential counters, then check out my Infinite Invisibility video and my other Stasis Crystal build video. You can find those videos showing up on your screen right now.